Okay, so I'm going to jump into this next piece. So this is kind of two section now that we're talking and kind of bringing things together, and this is fabulous, you guys. Thank you. I want to talk about, first of all, casting the characters and what you looked for in those characters, and then I want to talk about what came up for us and probably for many other theater companies as well, we know, with diversity and some of the ideas that you were playing with and wanting to search and put them into this play. So let's first touch on casting the characters. What did you look for? What did you want?
Well, so not talking about my original idea, but just talking about.
I think either way. I think however you want to approach this, because
well, for me, it's about the human experience, right? And so you are a human being, whether you're black or white, trans or cis, or straight or gay or man or woman, right? We all will, Russian or American or Japanese or Hispanic or whatever, right? The experience of being a human being on this planet for the very short time that we actually are here is pretty much the same for everybody, right? And so I do think that the play itself pretty much allows for that. There's nothing in the text that tells you that it's two old white British guys. You know what I mean? But Beckett himself, unfortunately, was very, very specific about the fact that they would be men and not women. And so that's unfortunate, right? That shows you that he had a limitation on his own vision and what he thought this, who could do this play, because I think two women could do this play. And I had somebody, actually I had two people that I really wanted to work with, and they're incredible clowns. And I see this play as being very much performed by two clowns, and they're both women, these real people that I know, Lindsay and Carrie. And I just thought that they would do a phenomenal job as these characters. And so I wanted to use them. And so then as we researched, it became very clear that option, and I can't remember, Mary, if we actually asked if we could, or if it was something that
it's actually in the royalties.
Right, it's in the royalties.
When we get the license, right, it's in those royalties. And
right.
You and I've run into that a couple of times, which is always bad news. It's always like when you read through, it's like, oh, now I got to talk to Holly.
right, yeah, right. So that was a big bummer.
Yeah.
Because that was originally my vision, right? Was that it was going to be really too kind of, vaudevillian, and Beckett himself was incredibly influenced by Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and vaudeville. He just loved it, right? And so because he did, and because I can see the physicality of this play, the pratfalls and the slapstick and just even the vaudevillian type of humor that's there, and the clowning and all of that, I really, really wanted to use these two women. And then we couldn't. Right. He wouldn't let us.
So Julia, you're just a little bit younger than well, me and Holly. But right, whatever that age is. So I'm curious from your standpoint, how does that look to you as somebody who wants to do theater, who is doing theater, but is really on the cusp of creating? What does that look like, having these classic pieces that are fairly limiting?
Well, I do agree with Holly, because one, I think it's because I've learned so much from her and I've been working with her for so long. I think pieces should be about when you're doing them, who is doing them. And I think that the director's vision is really important when you put on a piece. And so classic shows like Godot or any of the contemporary classic pieces that you could do, I worry that they're not going to speak to my generation like they have to previous generations, because my generation is so different. They are, and we've seen it before, radical ideas about diversity and equality and opportunity and things like that, I think that it's so important right now to be able to take a play, even a classic play that's supposed to be two white British men, and put somebody that looks like somebody that's in the audience, because the audience is not going to be full of two or white British men.
Absolutely.
It's
right?
going to be people of color. It's going to be people of different sexualities, people of different genders. I'm a firm believer in being able to do whatever you want with a text. I understand respecting the author's voice and the author's intention of writing a play, but if you want to captivate an audience, you should have plays that look like your audience. So, and the casting process was awesome. I've never been a part of a casting process, and doing that with Holly was very cool. Trying to go through character traits that we both found in the characters, and then when people were auditioning for them, saying, "Oh my God, that is so Dee Dee," or "That is so Go-Go." That was really cool to learn.
And you know what you guys are saying too, the older that I get, the more we do theater and tear it apart, you know, I really do feel it's the heart of the theme, and that's what draws us back to the play as individuals, right? It's what we relate to. And I hope that we can go forward and not backwards as theatricians, I suppose we could say, in terms of really broadening theater. And, you know, diversity is a big word right now. And, you know, we all want to become better at making sure that our theater is available to everyone, and to play and experiment and understand who they are in all these different areas. And so I'm just curious, you know, with some of these classics that are so limiting, we also ran into that with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of a director that wanted to cast it as all women, and the estate sits on it and doesn't allow that to move forward. And it's such an interesting time, right? We're really broadening and exploding a lot of ideas, and yet there's just some things that are really stuck right now. And I think theater actually is addressing those and moving forward in a lot of ways in our society. It's really exciting to have the group that we have, and the collective that we have throughout our little city exploring that right now. It's awesome.
Let us not waste our time in idle discourse. Let us do something while we have the chance. It is not every day that we are needed, not indeed that we personally are needed. Others would meet the case equally well, if not better. To all mankind they were addressed, those cries for help still ringing in our ears. But at this place, at this moment of time, all mankind is us, whether we like it or not. Let us make the most of it before it's too late. Let us represent worthily for once the foul brood to which a cruel fate consigned us. What do you say?